start with a quick review for this book, The E-Myth. I'm giving this book 3 out of 5. The first part of the book, I thought about giving this book a 4 because there is good information about businesses, about what is the problem with businesses, how do you do things. But the more I go, there is some things I didn't fully agree with, and I felt like he's being too precise about how things work, and only one way works, and only his way works. Um, so there are some things I didn't fully agree with. What I did like about the book is he has two, not two parts, but two parallel processes, if you may, of the book. So one part is about he explaining things about business, and then there is another part where he's talking to one of his trainees, and it's a very good way of transmitting information, generally speaking. So I did like about that, but again, some of it is it felt like is a little too precise, and I didn't fully agree with some of his advice. I think it's you don't he thinks like you have to go big. I don't believe in going big from the ground up. There is many different ways. If you're small businesses, you don't want to grow. It's all good. He says like only this way works, and I don't believe in that. Let's see the notes. The E myth is the entrepreneur myth, where most businesses are not started by entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs do not start the businesses because they have a hard time starting businesses. And he will explain why. Next one is the problem of technicians who become entrepreneurs, and by that work become a chore. If a technician, which is the one that actually does the job, they sometimes start businesses by their own. The problem is that after that, the work become a chore and they don't like it anymore. Next one is the entrepreneur live in the future and is disorganized. That's the entrepreneur. The manager lives in the past and is very orderly. He learned from the past. He understands, see what goes on, and they're more orderly. The technician is the doer, and they living in the present. They're actually doing the job. The technician cannot be the boss since it associates the business with the person, which comes up with a heavy toll. If the technician would be there all the time in the business, people would associate the business with the person, and they cannot do that for a long time. Delegation often leads to doing everything yourself, again, because it's not done to satisfaction. So we have to know when you delegate, but it would not be done to satisfaction. And what happen is that people eventually defer to do things themselves. Being a bus technician is not owning a business, it's owning a job. That's the difference between owning a business to owning a job. If you're doing it yourself, you're owning a job, not a business. The job of the owner is to prepare the business for growth. So that's his opinion of the owner is preparing and making everything ready for growth. Selling the business is more important than selling the product. It says the product itself is not the most important part. We need to sell the business. The success of McDonald's lays in reproducing the same experience using franchisees. They were able to create the same experience mostly among all of its stores and franchisees, and that's where the success goes. The job should be made by the lowest skilled people in order to make replication easier. It's important because then it also reduces the cost of the business. It also makes it easier to replicate because you don't have to find a very specific talent. That's an interesting idea. Predictability and consistency are essential for the success of the business. People look for predictability and consistency. The job of the business owner is to think of how to systemize the businesses the business and make it easily reproducible. So in his opinion, it's the most important part. I think it's important, but not the most important part of the business. Side note, the parts about self-help are not that good. There has a lot about things about self-help which is not directly related to starting a business. It's important, but not to starting a business. Product is not the commodity. As Revlon founder said, we manufacture cosmetics, but we sell hope. So that's again, the product is not all the commodity. And what he said, it's a good quote. We manufacture cosmetics, but we sell hope. That's not we. So what we sell is not cosmetics. We sell hope. Interesting. According to the author, people buy feelings. And again, it's something another thing I didn't fully agree with is that he said like people only buy feelings, and I think even said only. It's not only what they buy. They sometimes buy things they need, and there's more than that. It's a simplified version. Next one is without organizational chart, organization gather around personalities which create a mess. That's what happens without organizational chart. If there is no organizational chart, people gather around personalities, and that creates a mess because someone gets more than others, and they do too much, or they only do too little, and no one knows what everyone else are doing. Last one. Side note: the second half of the book is not as good. That's what I said in the review part. The second part of the book just lost it and lost me. First part of the book, if we would stop there, I would give this book a 4. So if you're interested about small businesses, I think it's a good book to go through. It also gives you an overlook about things. But if you're not going to start a business or you're not that curious about it, I would not recommend. So that's be a 3 out of 5. Thank you.